Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, the bottom line is if they had given that money, that bailout and TARP money to the American people, we wouldn't have a foreclosure crisis because people would be making their mortgage payments. People would be investing in small businesses. They'd be buying American cars. Everything that has gone wrong with this country is because the money is moving in the wrong direction. Now, I'm not a socialist either, but what we have right now is fascism, which is where profits are kept private and the losses are socialized across all the people, and that's what's going on in this country. That's what all the TARP and the bailout. It's not communism, it's not socialism, it is fascism, and it's destroying the country.
Well, people better make a decision right now, and then we're going to phone calls. You better make a decision. This is real. What is starting to unfold now is going to dwarf the Great Depression. It is going to dwarf World War III. It is going to dwarf it all. The New World Order is moving on every front right now to bring in a cascading mode of crisis after crisis, and then they're going to manage those crises into greater crises, and they believe it's going to catapult them into total control. And the White House is on record saying this. This is the order out of chaos. New World Order management system is order out of chaos. Okay? That's Latin for order out of chaos. And this is real. This isn't a drill. It isn't a game. So all of you yuppies and all of you cops and all the bureaucrats and all the FBI agents and all of you people out there that have been smug in the system and that think you're safe, you are not safe. You are killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. This system that's coming into fruition is hellish. Mike, let me ask this question, then we're going to calls. Why do you think they've gone after 2 years of denying we're in a depression, when by every classic indicator of a depression, we were in one? 3 quarters of no growth, massive unemployment. You've got inflation in products, but deflation in Main Street and in what people are being paid. And that's, again, unnatural, even in Keynesian economics, for those that don't know. Only a rigged system can do that. Dow repeats Great Depression pattern, chart shows. We reported this a year ago. Here it is, CNBC. Here's another one. I've got a whole stack of headlines here where all these mainstream newspapers are reporting. Here they are. Happy 4th of July. America needs it. The Great Republic is in a perilous state, politically and economically. Here's London Telegraph. With the U.S. trapped in depression, this really is starting to feel like 1932. Ambrose Evans Pritchard. New York Times, the Third Depression. This is just the articles that were laying around here. They've suddenly shifted and are admitting we're going into a depression. So first they're denying we're even in a second recession. We never left the first recession that started between 6 to 4 years ago, depending on how you look at it with the real numbers. We've been in a depression for at least 2 years. Now they skip denying we're in a recession, going right into depression. Why are they doing that?
Well, they've been trying to avoid the word depression because of the negative connotation. And you need to understand that the word depression was used back during 1929 to avoid using the word crash. So they're always looking for a new word. We don't want to call it what it was before because people have got negative connotations. It's all about perception management. Can't call it a crash, so we'll call it a depression. Don't want to call it a depression, so we'll call it a recession. Don't want to call it a recession, so we'll call it a shrunk. Can't call it a shrunk anymore, we'll call it a FISBIN. This is all about propagandizing the people. I mean, earlier today, there was this story out there saying, time to buy back into the stock market. They're heading to record highs. And it's an absolutely ridiculous statement, but they're just trying to rah-rah the people into thinking things are going to be okay. Give us a little more time. Don't tar and feather the politicians. It's all going to work out. And I think the American people have woken up to the fact that that is definitely not going to be the case because the Dow is definitely headed back down again, despite the early morning shove and rah-rah. And the bottom line is the government has created this huge credibility crisis where nobody is going to believe them any longer. They're just looking for a new word, a new sales pitch, a new branding that they can put on the government to convince the people to go along with it a little bit longer. And I think we're approaching the breaking point. I know I'm at my breaking point.
And I'm glad you raised that point because I get emails saying, how dare you say we're in a depression? You're destroying confidence. You're a traitor. I've been seeing that for at least 4 years. And people comment in the online versions, the Obama deception, follow the Republic. And I've seen it even on some financial sites. Guys, don't listen to this guy. If you do, you're going to lose your 401k. As if it's my fault when the Washington Post admits it's $600 trillion conservatively in made-up derivatives. I mean, how many times is that above our $14 trillion entire GDP every year? This is a black hole where more debt is created than actual currency. It's designed by these private banking families to take over our society. We have their own IMF, World Bank white papers admitting it. And all I'm doing is stating that A, derivatives would destroy us. I said this 10 years ago when economist I trust laid it out. It was common sense. B, all I'm doing is laying out the facts, and they're saying, no, that I'm the traitor, Mike. You're the traitor. We're supposed to just say, yes, Wall Street is God. Raise the taxes, carbon taxes. No, taxes in big government and derivative counterfeit crap is the problem, not us saying stop these bankers. We're not the reason this is happening. If people would have listened to us and Ron Paul, this wouldn't be going on right now.
Well, you're absolutely true about that. I mean, the major impetus for the war of independence in this country was to free ourselves from the manipulations of the Bank of England. And I know our schools talk about the Tea Act and the Stamp Act, but it was the Currency Act, where King George III forbade the states from printing their own currency and demanded that they borrow currency from the Bank of England at interest, the same situation we have with the Federal Reserve. That's what produced the anger that supported the American Revolution. And we're back in the same mess we were in before the Declaration of Independence was signed.
That's right. I've read scores of books on the revolution, and it was all about money manipulation, all about mercantilism, the globalism of their age, all about fat cats with unfair trade advantages. It was not about tea and tea taxes. There was one protest that dealt with that, the Boston Tea Party. We'll be right back. Brad in California, you're on the air with Mike Rivero. Go ahead.
All right. Hello, gentlemen. I have two questions. I'll address my more important one first. I have been researching just recently this Reverend James D. Manning's case against Columbia University and Obama. And I can't really find that much information about it, although I know he won the case, and it will be going probably to the Supreme Court shortly. And it proved that Obama's not a citizen.
Brad, that was a citizens court. That was a citizens court, which I think are good to kind of illustrate issues, but it wasn't an official court.
Okay.
And then everybody's asking me about it. And anything else, Brad?
Yeah. My second thing was I was wondering if you guys know about genetically modified plants with vaccines and drugs in them coming out.
Yeah, they're called pharmacological crops, and a lot of the GMO crops you already eat really are pharmacological crops. They just didn't tell you, and we've got all the government documents on that in the upcoming film. It's incredible. Thanks for the call, Brad. Interesting points. Mike Rivero, your comment on Manning's trial that he had of Obama, Barry Soetoro, and then on the GMO.
Well, this issue of Obama's eligibility to be president, I think it's a distraction to get people to argue back and forth about his birth certificate instead of looking at the real issues about, well, for me, the number one issue is Americans got attacked in international waters and Obama did nothing about it, and now he's making buddy-buddy with Netanyahu. I think that's far more important than the story of his birth certificate.
What do you make of Turkey saying, and Turkey's a big ally of Israel, even sells them weapons, but in fact, vice versa. Turkey saying, if you don't apologize for that, we are going to break off ties with you. And Israel says we're not going to apologize. I mean, they could at least say, okay, we could have done that a little bit better, and we'll, I mean, that's called détente, but no.
Well, first of all, congratulations to Turkey. And if Obama was a real president of the American people, he should have started off this meeting with Netanyahu by saying, item number one is an apology to America for attacking our people. And short of such an apology, the meeting is over. Thank you very much. And there are no more checks being signed for Israel this month. And that's what should have been done.
But then it would come out that Obama is a cocaine addict and is involved in other things with mafia bosses in Chicago. All right, Mike, stay there, Mike. I'm going to hold you over if you can do it and continue with phone calls. Pastor, Al, Mike, Tim, and others, your calls are straight ahead with Mike.